So as of close of business yesterday, we have been able to perform in the United States over 894,000 tests, so highly significantly increased every single day. Those tests are performed at a number of places, in hospitals, in your neighborhood, in the public health laboratories, the state public health laboratories and in our territories, as well as the large reference laboratories that are members of the American Clinical Laboratory Association. They have done over 650,000 tests, including over 840,000 just yesterday. I met with all their CEOs yesterday. They're fully committed to increasing testing to meet the requests and the demands of the President and Vice President. A couple words on the point of care test. Point of care means you stop, you get the result right there that the President and the Vice President have talked about by Abbott, approved in record time by Dr. Steve Hahn and the FDA. This is a point of care test, meaning that from the time to swab to the time you get a positive result, 5 minutes like the President said, and at most 15 minutes for a negative result. So just think of it as a 15-minute test. This is not an esoteric test. There are 18,000 of these little toaster-sized machines all over the country in doctors' offices and hospitals right now, and Abbott will be providing 50,000 or more tests per day starting on April 2nd, with the first shipments out already. This complements other point-of-care testing like the Self-Administered test that we announced about a week ago. We also have moderate platforms, so it's not just about the number, it's the type. We have point-of-care. We have moderate platforms that are in hospitals and in larger clinics and academic medical centers. And then we have the very large test. You've heard Ambassador Birx talk about the Roche tests and the Roche platforms that are in some of these big reference laboratories. So it's not just about the number, but it's about painting this very complex ecosystem so that everybody who needs a test can get a test. On priorities, remember, we are still prioritizing those in most need, those who are in hospitals or in ICUs, because that test makes a difference to how they're being treated. Symptomatic first responders, healthcare workers, and as Administrator Verma will always say, those in long-term care facilities who are at high risk. One last point. I've learned more about nasal swabs than I ever thought I would want to learn in my entire life, but it was a very big thing that the FDA approved last week, and it will now be implemented this week. Instead of having a provider stick this all the way in the back of your nose, that's uncomfortable, but it also requires PPE changes every time it's done. The FDA approved, with lots of data supporting it, self-swab of your nose. So literally put a swab, certain kind of swab, foam swab in your nose, put it in a plastic bag, give it in and drop it. This not only increases the speed, but it eliminates all those changes of PPE. So we will be implementing that this week, which will increase speed, but also save our precious resources as we build them up in the stockpile and out to hospitals. Thank you, sir.